Today we're talking about the Smith & Wesson M&P 357 Magnum R8. This gun, this is one heck of a gun. This thing holds 8 rounds. 8 rounds. It's got a rail shooting the massive 357 Magnum. Of course, it always takes the 38 Special. This one is a plus P. This gun is really accurate for a revolver. Being the M&P model, I can see how this could be a really good duty revolver. 8 rounds. 8 rounds. I borrowed this from a friend of mine. He's got a Seymour sight on the top of it, red dot. Man, this thing is great. What a pleasure to shoot. In single action, the trigger, just a hair trigger. Just barely touch that thing and it fires, making it a very accurate revolver. 5-inch barrel, custom grips. This gun's got a scandium alloy frame, a stainless steel barrel. It is just really quite a gun. It truly does not feel like you're shooting a 357 Magnum. If you take a look at these targets, these are the groups I got. The head is at 20 yards, the chest is at 7. But either way, I mean, this thing, you're hitting what you're going to shoot at every single time. And the weight of it is just perfect. It feels like there is no recoil on this thing. It is just like shooting a BB gun. But yeah, you are firing a massive 357 Magnum. This gun has a PC tuned trigger and trigger guard. It literally is as if it is a custom trigger. It really is. Put a red dot on it. You're going to pack a punch and you're going to hit what you aim at every single time. Again, this gun, it was a pleasure to shoot. I'd like to try it again. Love to get my hands on this gun again. What a pleasure. Highly recommend you give this one a try. If you're looking for a home defense revolver, I mean, 8 rounds. It's hard to beat this. I highly recommend you take a look at the Smith & Wesson M&P R8. Today we're going to take a look at the Smith & Wesson 686 357. Now this particular 686 is a 7 round, and man, this handgun is really pretty exceptional. Now there's not many Smith & Wesson handguns I don't like, but this is quickly becoming one of my new favorites. I really like this handgun. Now, being that it's a 7 round, I think is pretty outstanding, but overall, man, there was very little recoil on this thing. It was really easy to get follow-up shots. Now, this handgun is referred to as an L frame, and the one I was shooting was all chrome. From what I understand, all of these 686 comes in chrome. And really, according to Smith & Wesson, this is built to really suit all revolver enthusiasts, because overall, man, the Smith & Wesson 686 is just legendary. This is an outstanding revolver. Of course, it always takes the 38 Special as well. Now, the 686 is stainless steel, and the blued version is considered the 586. And this handgun was originally built in 1980, so it has a giant performance time. Now in 1986 they changed this to a 6-inch barrel with the unfluted cylinder, and that's kind of what you got today, and really it is just pretty outstanding. So, you know, the Smith & Wesson, if you're looking for a 357 revolver, I would definitely take a look at the Smith & Wesson line, but I would specifically look at the 686. It's a pretty exceptional handgun. Very little recoil, super accurate. I mean, I really love this revolver. Now, the double action it's pretty long, and it's pretty heavy. However, the single action is really exceptional. I mean, you just got to tap that thing and it's going to take off. The Smith & Wesson large frame revolvers are some of the most beloved revolvers out there, especially for those who feel like they need a little more punch for being out in the mountains,
mostly because of four-legged predators or hunting, or some think they need it for two-legged predators. And one of the most popular ones out there is the Smith & Wesson 629. The 629 is based off of the end frame and comes in 357 Magnum, 44 Magnum, or 45 ACP, and offered in multiple barrel lengths. The one I took a look at was a 4-inch barrel, or technically a 4.125-inch barrel, and has a 6-round capacity in 44 Magnum or 44 Special. It's 9.6 inches in full length, 41.5 ounces in weight, has a reddish ramped front sight and adjustable rear sights. Now this is a single action or double action like most revolvers are. The single action is very beautiful and crisp. Comes in at just under 4 pounds, perfect pull. But the double action is really exceptional as well. Up until this point, my all-time favorite double action trigger ever made is a SIG P250, and I still think it's better, but man, this one's pretty darn close, the second best I've ever felt in my life. Has factory black rubberish grips, and is made in stainless steel. The hammer and trigger are carbon steel, and this sells between $800 and $1,000. It's a pretty expensive pistol, but pretty darn good one and very beloved by many. Now my experience with this is I found it to be extremely accurate. Now most of the rounds that I was putting through it are some pretty heavy 44 Magnum loads. They were Federal ammo, so it definitely had a kick to it. Was not a pleasure to shoot, but it's a lot of fun to shoot in 44 Special or for some lower loaded 44 Magnums. Overall, I would definitely say that if you're looking for a good 44 Magnum to carry into the mountains, or you just feel you need to carry a 44 Magnum, I highly recommend the 629. Now it's a follower of the Model 29, which is really one of the first large frame revolvers that Smith & Wesson made in 44 Magnum, after of course the Model 27 and 357 Magnum. But generally I would highly recommend it. Really beautiful gun. Smooth trigger, one of the best triggers I've ever felt. Definitely one of the best double action triggers I've ever felt. And oftentimes if you're carrying a gun in bear country, what you're going to need to do is quickly draw and shoot, and having that nice double action really makes a big difference. If you're just simply hunting, the single action will do, but if you're worried about four-legged predators, that double action revolver trigger is very important, and I think it has one of the best I've ever felt.
Today we're going to be talking about the Smith & Wesson 500. Now this is a 5-shot revolver that shoots the ridiculously massive 50 Magnum bullet. Now the 50 Magnum bullet looks to me like a slightly miniaturized shotgun shell, to be quite honest. When I first saw this gun, I kind of thought it was ridiculous. Kind of looks like something maybe in case you need to draw on a dinosaur or something. But one of my good friends from church loaned me this, and man, I could not wait to get a hold of this thing. This thing, I was excited to shoot this. Now, when I did take it to the range, I'm going to be real honest, this thing caught me off guard. It had a significantly bigger blast to it than I expected. I knew it would be big, but I didn't know it would be that big. And as a matter of fact, even people that were in the range a few rooms over came in to see what was going on in there because it was so ridiculous. But man, this gun was awesome. I really enjoyed shooting it. I would love to do this again sometime. This gun is just a blast. I gotta tell you, it'll get your adrenaline going. The one thing I will warn you on, if you're gonna shoot this thing, you gotta hold on tight. As you can see in this video here, it felt like it was about to shoot out of my hands. That's a big blast, and that's a heavy gun too. So this one really, again, it caught me off guard. It was bigger than I thought, but I really enjoyed shooting it. I'd like to try this again. Really enjoyed the Smith & Wesson 500, shooting the 50 Magnum. What an outstanding, really fun revolver. And from what I understand, the 50 Magnum, there's pretty much nothing on this planet that it wouldn't take down. I get it. I really get it. Now, it was surprisingly pretty accurate as well. Now, of course, it's hard to get your follow-up shots because the recoil is just so huge. I'm sure with some practice you could do it, but man, last time I checked, it was about $3 per round. So, you know, unless you happen to load your own, this is not one of those guns that you're going to go spend a lot of time at the range with. More so, it kind of started to hurt my hand a bit, but man, I really just love shooting the Smith & Wesson 500 50 Magnum. Now, Smith & Wesson refer to this as their X-frame, and it's the biggest production handgun round that there is today. Now, this Smith & Wesson 500 with the 50 Magnum will give off 2,600 feet per pound of power. I mean, that's ridiculous. Now, this handgun was designed by Smith & Wesson in 2003 and really made an era for the big guns. I mean, this one is as big as it comes. Now, the Smith & Wesson 500 and this 50 Magnum is really, I would say, specifically designed for hunters. And again, I think there is nothing in the world that you couldn't take down with the Smith & Wesson 500 X-frame. Again, I really appreciate it, my friend at church. And I'd like to end this video with my friend from church. His name is Dave, and I'd just like to say that I'm always asking for prayer requests for any viewers that'd like to send them in. And if you happen to be a praying person, I'd like you to specifically pray for Dave. He is an awesome veteran who has fought overseas, and he was in an accident where his chute didn't open. He's very blessed to be alive, and he's just one of my great friends, and I love him. So if you would please pray for Dave, I'd really appreciate it. If you like this video, click like and subscribe. We are praying people, and we definitely spend time praying for you. So if you have any prayer requests, please send them in. If you have any questions or comments, we always appreciate those as well, and we always respond. Thank you for watching this episode of God, Family, and Guns. And as always, love God, love your family, and love guns.